Welcome back to War Stories here on the CyannSentry channel. My name is Jericho. Today I am joined by TheIceMann and CyannSentry.
Hi.
Oh. And we just saw Wonder Woman, so we're going to be reviewing that on today's episode. As usual, we will start with our overall impressions, go on to more detailed likes and dislikes about the movie, and then a little later on we'll give a spoiler warning and go into more specific plot details that might be considered spoilery for some folks. So, CyannSentry, what did you think of Wonder Woman?
I loved it. It's absolutely one of my favorite superhero movies, like, ever. I loved it. I can't say that enough. I'll attempt to not say it more. But the casting was great. The amount of and type of comedy was great. It was dramatic. It was powerful. It was awesome. I loved it.
Well, about you, Iceman?
Oh, I feel exactly the same way. I thought it was wonderful. I loved all the action scenes. The fighting was really cool, and a lot of it was different than anything I've ever seen before.
I agree with that.
Yeah, the combat was amazing.
Yeah, I would say that it is my favorite DC movie since The Dark Knight Rises. And it probably had the best action of any DC movie ever.
I would agree with that.
Because if there's one flaw of the Christopher Nolan Batman movies is the staging of the fight scenes left a lot to be desired, in my opinion. It's difficult to tell what was going on, and the camera was really frantic, but the best sequence in this movie is a combat scene, and it's just, like, it's so obvious what's happening. You see all the characters, it's all just, there's color and light, and yeah, the direction of this movie, I think, is what really sets it apart from the more recent, especially like Man of Steel, which I liked a lot. I have liked the DCEU so far, but I still think that this was by far the best.
Yep. Speaking of color, that was a really, really cool thing for me, how it changed throughout the movie. Like when you see them on Paradise Island, I can't remember the other name.
Themyscira.
Yeah, that one. It's ultra colorful. Everything is bright and vivid, and there's bioluminescent water and everything like that. And then outside of that, it's all gray and dreary, but it gains more color throughout the movie until the end. Like London is very, very colorful again. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I agree. It's almost like a response to the reception of the other DC movies, because like the grittiness and the anger and the violence is the antagonist of this movie, and it's like a direct response to that.
Yeah.
Another thing I really noticed was the music. The one thing in particular that I thought was just so cool is, so the movie opens with Diana, Wonder Woman, as a young girl on Themyscira, like growing up, and starting her early training by the actress is Robin Wright from Claire Underwood from House of Cards, but I don't know what her character. It was like Apollyon or
Antiope.
Antiope. I basically said that, so I don't know why you corrected me. So they would play the Wonder Woman little theme that we first heard in Batman vs Superman, it's like, you would know it if you heard it. It's already pretty iconic, but it was like played in different instrumentations each time, like as she grew up and learned her strengths. It was so awesome. It's so simple, and like, I don't know, it's just one of those things that, like, maybe people notice it or maybe they don't, but their brain does. Like, you recognize, like, that's called a motif, is a repeated thing in music like that. And when they revisit it to show a character growing, that's like one of my very favorite things about music. And like, Suicide Squad had a lot of cool music because it went like the Guardians of the Galaxy route of just having a lot of popular music that fit. But this one, I thought the score was better than I have seen recently. I think the last enemy is a TIE fighter.
Oh, that's why he's not down here in the caves.
That's also why we never choose this one, and I made a horrible, horrible mistake.
I thought it was really awesome to have such two of the villains were just so creepy, and one was in a very classic, like, they weren't Nazis, but they were German soldiers, so he has
like
that
proto Nazis.
yeah. And then there was Dr. Poison, and she was insane.
Believe it or not.
Yeah. So it was cool both to have, basically to see how being discriminated as a woman, how Wonder Woman responded to that, and how Dr. Poison responded to that. It just, they went very different routes.
Mm-hmm. So as far as I did have like some minor quibbles here and there, but some of it I guess sort of gets into spoilery stuff. So, I mean, I guess yeah. If you haven't seen the movie yet, maybe don't watch on. We'll try not to do like super big spoilers this time around, so that everybody can enjoy the whole review. But
I have one spoiler-free quibble.
Okay, go for it.
They definitely had to try very, very hard to keep it. What was it, PG-13?
Yes.
Because there's a whole lot of sword slashing and stabbing and everything, but you never see blood. I kind of get distracted by that, just because that's not how it would be. Like, you would see it. Like,
Yeah.
It reminds me of the first Narnia movie. Like, there's a whole battle, and you see like one little dot of blood the whole time.
Yeah, there's one time where like the sword like goes right through a person, and then you see the other end of the sword, and it's like perfectly clean. And actually, that's like a thing. So there was an R-rated cut, and they already made it because they want little girls to be able to go see it.
Oh, well, okay. There we go.
But
there's already an R-rated cut of
no,
Wonder
it
Woman?
was at first, and then they took stuff out to make sure it would get a PG-13.
Okay,
that actually happens a lot.
That's absolutely fair. Little girls need to go see it because it was wonderful. Wonderful.
Terrific.
Yeah.
So basically, and this should not really come as a surprise to people, the main themes at work here are that war is bad in general, and that's one reason why her traditional origin of World War II is instead in World War I, because World War I was more shades of gray compared to Nazis and the Holocaust versus not Nazis and not Holocaust. So at a pivotal moment, Wonder Woman is basically made to choose between defeating, like continuing to work to defeat her enemy, or kill Dr. Poison. And she is remembering, the friends she's made. Again, I'm trying to be intentionally vague. But she says, okay, I have learned that humans aren't just built for war like you are claiming. They have love too, and I believe in love, and that's why you're bad, and I'm going to defeat you and all the rest. I think, and there was already some small hints of it here and there, I think they should have drawn more obvious romantic connections between Dr. Poison and Robbelframben, the German...
General Ludendorff.
Yes, General Ludendorff. Because they implied it already, but just like a little bit more to show that maybe she was not so bad, but she's in love too and doing it for love, and that's why she deserved to be spared and why Wonder Woman thought of it at that time, not just because of her other attachments. And it was fine how it was, but I thought that might have been kind of cool, just to add a little bit more edge to the character. But, well, not edge, another dimension, I should say. But the movie was almost 3 hours long, and it didn't feel long, but it could have, I think. So, if they had done that, maybe that would have been my criticism instead, so...
I'm going to disagree with that, because there are just so many movies where it's just... The female is there to be a romantic connection, and the romance is what led her astray and all that kind of stuff. And this being a more feminist movie, I think it needed to get away from that a little bit. Like they even had more romantic connection between Diana and Steve than I would have wanted, just because
it's not the point.
It's been done. We don't need to see,
Well, I guess my reason for saying that is that
it would make more sense for her to make the connection to love instead of war.
Well, yeah, and why else did she
true.
spare her? She's called Dr. Poison. She killed millions of people, and Diana has not. She had never once in the movie been like, we need to take prisoners. Like, she knows these people must be stopped. Like, so it's weird that now that she's confronting like this dangerous, like mad genius.
I'm not saying that she should have. I'm just saying I don't need to see Dr. Poison's romantic connection to assign her value.
Okay. Well, I mean, I just disagree, but
Yeah.
and I guess the main reason I disagree is I feel like it was already implied.
It was.
So why not
But why do we need more if we already know?
to explain why Diana spared her?
But we already know. So why do we need to see it? Like, we haven't even discussed it, but we all know that she was romantically involved. They hinted at it enough that we know what's going on. It did need to factor into Diana's reasoning to make a difference for her, because that part of things doesn't really matter. She knows that she is human and has the capacity to love without having to have her be romantically involved with somebody.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I don't know, Iceman, you've been uncharacteristically silent and horrified. What have you to say? Not necessarily on this, but just other thoughts about the movie.
I'm just horrified in general.
Just doesn't like it when mommy and daddy fight.
Just eat. Mommy and daddy just got upset. Just eat. I like that
The movie.
I guess there are parts where there are just like jerk men who just say, oh, she's a woman, she shouldn't be here. But I like more that people like, they just thought she was insane, not that she was just a woman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like that's been so done so much. Like, oh, she's a girl. Oh, wait, we learned our lesson. Like, it wasn't about that. It was like...
Oh, maybe she was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they also, like even in the very first scene, like when she is shown that she can speak the languages in the notebook, they're like, oh, all right, cool. Like,
yeah.
Like their sexism like fades away pretty quickly, and it still is present and important, and it's a theme in the movie. But I'm glad. I think that would be an easy well to go to, and I'm glad that the movie went broader and deeper than that.
Right.
Also, I like that lampshade that they just know all hundreds of these languages. Like, that was in the Linda Carter show. I always thought that was kind of silly that, you know, Steve shows up on this island and they've never had contact with any man before, but they all speak English perfectly.
Yeah.
Oh, because English is just one of the many languages. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it was cool that they addressed that.
I liked the supporting cast, like the band of rogues that help her and Steve with their mission. So there's one character, Charlie, who he sort of had like an arc where he was introduced as a sniper, and Diana immediately takes offense, like you're such a coward, you kill people without even seeing their face. And he's like, it makes it easier. And then later we see he has like night terrors about it, and then he kind of freezes up in battle. But he never has any resolution. He never he didn't do.
I think it got cut because he did start fighting again at the end.
Yeah.
So I think he did have a moment that just ended up on the cutting room floor.
Maybe so, but that's a shame because I liked him a lot, and that was an interesting. I was interested to see more, and the same thing could be said for Chief, who was a Native American. Like, as soon as we meet, like Diana's asking, like, okay, so what's going on? Who stole your people? He's like, well, Steve's people did, but it's just never mentioned again. Like, I don't know. They could have done more with it, but again. Mm-hmm. I think it was good that they kept the movie as tight as they did.
Yeah, and that gives room for expansion, I think, later on, at least with Chief's story.
Yeah, but I don't think he'll be in the movies anymore because he's dead. It's 60, 80 years ago.
Yeah. But they might do more flashbacks, maybe.
Yeah, it could happen. Yeah, who knows?
I'm hoping.
Like, they could continue the individual Wonder Woman story in the past, and then just her adventures in modern days are all in Justice League.
So one weird thing, it's just neither here nor there, but I'm on the IMDb website to have the actors' names,
Mm-hmm.
and Chief is not on here. Like, there's a bunch of supporting cast, but not Chief.
His name was like Dennis Talking Rock.
Yeah.
Something I saw it on Wikipedia last night. He's on some AMC show.
Oh. I liked him. He's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of the acting was really good. I liked Chris Pine more than I've ever liked him in anything else, by far. I thought he was really well suited to the role, and I liked that he was... I mean, he obviously was the sidekick, and it was, Diana's story and all that, which is perfect and how it needed to be, but I liked that he wasn't useless and, like, fat and bumbling, and, like, he had a role to play, too, and I think that's important, because... Like, just how in all of these male-centric movies, the women need to have a role that matters. I mean, like...
Eugene Brave Rock.
Eugene.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Alright, well, really excited for Justice League. I don't know, you guys have any other thoughts? We're kind of petering out here.
I love the classic stuff that they put in there with the lasso and her tiara, and they made that really significant. It wasn't just, oh well, she's a princess so she gets a crown, and
yeah, I would say, I'm sorry, I don't
and
mean
a shield.
The lasso, I thought she would use a whip. I did not think it would shine gold whenever she used it. I did not think it would compel people to tell the truth. I think that's so cool that they
really
did it.
cool.
And they made it like a plot point and interesting.
And it looked really
It looked awesome. Yeah, especially that was one thing. So the best scene that we kind of mentioned earlier is she's going across no man's land between enemy trenches. It's just such an awesome scene.
I literally, I was tearing up. It was so cool.
And, like, it's all, gray and smoky and dusty in the battlefield and all, and then you see, like, her whip, just flashes out. It's awesome. This is a super good movie.
I do have one more thing to say when you're done.
Yeah, go for it.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. I love that, in this movie, when she was faced with a heart-wrenching moment of absolute grief and sorrow, that became her strength rather than just breaking her. Like, that happens way too much in Hollywood, especially for females, but sometimes for men as well, where, oh, well, somebody...
Well, I don't have anything to live
Yeah.
for. Yeah.
And then that they just give up, and then, maybe later on they'll have, a flashback of something significant they said, and they'll come back and rally. But for her, it was an immediate, visceral reaction, and I think that says a lot to the creators of the movie, because so often women are portrayed as emotional, and the emotion is the weakness. And this shows that doesn't have to be how it is. Emotion is human, and you can use it as your strength.
Yeah, emotion as a weakness is something that just needs to be fixed and go away in general. But yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah. This movie made a lot of awesome strides. And I am a lot more excited about Justice League now. I think that the first trailer kind of is worrying. I don't know, but I mean this movie is a breath of fresh air, and I'm very hopeful. It might be my favorite movie I've seen so far this year. It's hard to say. Movies are so different. That's why they're divided for award season. Because I loved Get Out and I loved Pirates last week, but this was awesome. And I feel like it's gonna be. I'm going to see it again, and I don't think I've seen any other movie twice this year so far, so that says something.
Yeah.
Anybody have anything else in closing? Oh. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure you subscribe to the Full Instance channel. We have war stories like this every Tuesday and Thursday, and there are 6 episodes of something coming your way every single week. Thank you to the Iceman and
CyannSentry.
yeah. I'm so sorry for joining me. We'll see you guys soon. How about you guys? Hang on. Hang on. But we're picking up enemy signals. And we're full.